I want to find a question where they asked him. Um, they asked him specifically. Oh, I didn't realize I didn't fix that. Let me get that fixed back. They asked him about what he's going to do to win the fans back since he did go out and ask for a trade and he just went across, you know, with saying he wanted out. I think him and his agent and his team were trying to use the NBA strategy of players being traded, and the NFL safeguarded itself from being able to do that with the franchise tag. So, you know, big time players in their prime don't move like that. Just because you got the freedom of the franchise tag. So you got him on that rookie contract. He was a first round draft pick, number one overall. So we got him for 5 years. We can get his 5th year option. We get 2 more years of your franchise tag. So you're basically guaranteed on your first round picks. If you hit on them, you're guaranteed 7 years control of that player on your team. So that's totally different with how the NBA works. So I think they took the NBA strategy and it backfired. I was trying to see if anybody in the comments had timestamps. It's crazy in this day and age not having timestamps. Let's see if I can find it.
Continue to learn to be
out. I don't think that this team could win, and that now you're back, and how that impacts the fans and how they view you.
Like I said, that media road run, that created more discourse between myself and management. That created conversation between myself and AB, Jimmy, and up and down the chain, and that kind of stuff became a main variable for this deal getting done. These conversations down the road. So I think the fans will see that my heart's in the right place. It's never been about money. It's always been about winning, and that's where my frustration lies. And I want to thank Nicole because she's the best agent in the world, and I didn't have any really input on how the deal was going to look, but just know that when the time came, and we all know we're on the same page. That she went on and did what she does and got the best deal possible for myself and for the Browns.
So that was him asking a question of how he would, respond to fans after he did, publicly say he wanted out. I think it was good there. He's not going to go on a publicity stunt tour and trying to backtrack all the words that he said. He basically said he's just going to do it with his play on the field, and he said it wasn't about money. I know the first thing a lot of people said was it was all about money. I don't think it was about money. I think that he truly did want out. I think he is looking at the situation. He saw what happened to Joe Thomas. Later on in here, he is going to say, he texted Joe Thomas to see, kind of how he, dealt with the situation of not winning as much as you would like to win throughout your career. And to me, it just seems like he did want out. I think that was true. He wanted out. He did not have the leverage to get out. And after he didn't have the leverage to get out, just checking all my things here. Once he didn't have the leverage to get out, then he just accepted the fact that I'm going to be here. And he had no guarantee. I believe the next 2 years, he had no guaranteed money. So just with, getting ahead of the game with not him going into, contract years and all the situation, already saying he wanted to get out, they re-signed the deal. Also, another thing, this happened kind of with the Deshaun Watson deal that kind of didn't play out like the Browns thought. But if you remember, when we signed Deshaun Watson, he also had Joe Burrow coming up in 2 years. So the Browns are kind of, sticking it to some of the other players, especially owners who don't want to spend the same amount of money. So we didn't see anyone else get that same amount of guarantees flat out or like contract like Deshaun. But we did hear the Bengals say that they want to make Jamar Chase the highest non-paid QB in the NFL. We heard those rumblings coming out of the draft combine. And basically now with them going, they didn't just go 1 million over what Max Crosby got paid with his 35. I believe his is 35.5 million a year. They went about 4.5 million above that. So now for the Bengals, which they are a team that doesn't like to spend money, their defense is getting totally gutted as they try to spend some money to keep their offense afloat and keep Joe Burrow happy. Now it's looking like they're going to be spending 70 million on 2 receivers, with Jamar Chase getting above that 40 million. They're saying it's going to be 40 million, 100,000, so he could overtake what Myles Garrett got. And they're saying, T. Higgins is going to be in that $30 million range. It's going to be $70 million on 2 receivers, which that's going to be tough. You're not really going to be able to pay a running back that much, just with 70 million going to those 2 players like that. So another thing, this will touch on something. It's not really the Browns, but teams who are going to win, they're more proactive with players who are great. The Bengals could have signed Jamar Chase 2 years ago, and they could have got him in that $30 million range, similar to what Tyreek Hill got. They could have got him in the $30 million range, and it would have looked a lot smarter. That would have saved them, this is going to save them about $10 million a season on him. They probably could have got T. Higgins signed a little bit earlier. They could have got him in that 20 to mid $20 million range. They could have got these guys for about $55 million a year. Instead, they're going to be about $70 million a year. It's a similar situation with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm already thinking about how I'm going to do a breakdown show of prior to the NFL season. I'm going to tell you some prominent teams that I'm just going to guarantee won't win the Super Bowl prior to the season start. Part of the thing that I'm going to look at is how they handle decisions. I'm really going to do a deep dive into the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are making every decision late with playing their stars. They paid Dak late. Now Dak is getting, $60 million a season. They could have got him in the 40 range if they would have got him around the time Deshaun Watson. Actually, before the Deshaun Watson signing, Micah Parsons. First he was saying he was going to take some money off the table to stay in Dallas so they can stay good. I don't see that happening. I see Micah Parsons. He's going to want to be in that range of a Myles Garrett, believing he's the same quality of player as a Myles Garrett. He's going to want to be somewhere, between the Max Crosby and the Myles Garrett. I believe they could have got him for $30 million last year. So when you have these teams, this is a little tangent here. When you have these teams who pay guys late and they pay them reluctantly, and then they're forced to pay them more as the cap goes up every year, that is going to be part of the reason why some of these teams, they just won't win. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to be one of those teams who I don't believe is going to be able to win it all. I believe their defense is getting gutted. And, they lost their safeties a couple years ago. Now their D-line is going to look totally different. So, when you have teams who are just losing all their star players and quality players who show up for them every year, and it's all based on money because they're waiting to the last minute to sign them, these guys, these teams, they're not going to win it all. So, not as much as we, will go into the Myles Garrett response, but I just want to make it very clear. Myles Garrett did something totally different than a high school track star and her family has gotten her to do. He is not going to go on publicity tour to try to take back everything he said. He's saying, I'm going to do it with my play. The same thing that family could have did with the high school, track athlete. They could have said, hey, it wasn't intentional. We apologize. They should have reached out to the family immediately at the event. They should have went up to the other athlete at the event, and they should have been, apologizing then from the start. It's only getting worse for them and staying more viral because they just keep denying it. And basically, as you watch from different angles, even her recollection of what happened doesn't even match what the video shows. So, you just want to, deal with these situations head on. Not knowing how to take that L makes situations worse for you. So also a thing here for Browns fans, a lot of Browns fans, they didn't want to lose Myles, but then when we re-signed Myles, now they're upset about us signing Myles. It just doesn't make sense. The last couple of years, as I've been looking more and speaking publicly about the Browns, I just wonder, are these guys really fans of the team? Do they want to see the team get better? Or do they just want to complain about what they believe the team should do? Because to me, I see a lot of people who just, they want to complain about what the team is doing, and they don't want to give anyone credit when they do something well. I think Jimmy Haslam, staying in line with AB and sending, rejecting Myles the time to speak to him, sent a clear message to Myles on how they're going to have a unified front and how they're going to run things. I think that is a plus. I think re-signing Myles now, when you have a lot of players coming up who are non-quarterbacks who are going to be getting signed to big money, I think is a smart thing to do to get Myles. Remember, you still got TJ Watt who didn't sign yet. So, you got TJ Watt, you got Micah Parsons, you got Trey Henderson, who's looking for, to re-sign. These are all of the top, 4 to 5 DNs in the NFL. So we got our guy signed second after Max Crosby. So we're not going to pay as much as other teams are going to be forced to play because guys are going to hold out for those negotiations because they put up the big numbers. So that's another plus. I'm not saying that the Browns handle everything perfectly. It's a lot of stuff that I don't believe they handle well. But when they do things right, you got to look at the things that they do right. Last year, I think we went, into our running back room, and I thought our running back room was weak, and it showed it was weak, and it just didn't pan out for us. So it's times where we don't do things the best. Us signing Ken Dorsey last year, I just didn't think it would be good. We're a run-based team. He's a pass-based guy. So when he was in Buffalo calling the plays, they were bottom of the league in rush attempts. So I just didn't think that bode well. Our offensive line is designed to be bullies, to go forward, not to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. So I just think we had some schematic issues with how we were signing, players to make players, and also how we were signing our coaching staff. So, I'm not saying they do everything right, but when they do something right, you got to look at it as a win and take the wins as they come. If you are already complaining about how the Browns are doing things, you're going to be stressed and tired. And, by the time the season gets here, it's a long way to go. So, I'm just not going to fall, in that category of just being, Debbie Downer and just negative about everything.